Good morning. I'm Matt Hannigan from the Sprout Fund. One of the most exciting learning innovations to emerge in the past several years is open badges. Open badges unlock important potential, and they're a key part of our discussion today because badges can help make learning pathways more visible. The path for a learner to achieve a mastery in an interest area that's important to them can often be very complicated and not necessarily easy to follow. Badges provide the potential for us to create the mile markers and the guideposts that sit along that pathway, mapping out a future course to explore that interest and further develop passions. Perhaps you're most familiar with the merit badges that are offered by the scouting organizations, where a fully decorated sash is something that's valued by the earner, shared with peers, and also brought into practice with mentors and teachers. These badges are visual symbols of learning and achievement. They create recognition opportunities, whether that achievement is small or large, something that's general or specific, because it means something to that learner for them to have set out on a course, pursued a pathway, and followed that through with some sort of mastery recognition. You could say that open badges are a modern version of the same thing. They've been designed for today's digital age to grow and develop with learners and celebrate and recognize the mastery of the new kinds of competencies that we all understand are so much a part of our 21st century. But our badges that are open have so much potential to do more. Badges store in-depth information about the learning experiences. A few clicks can reveal where it was learned, what took place, what it took to earn the badge, and even in some cases, the evidence and the learning artifacts that actually support the badges behind the scenes. Badges are also shareable. So whether it's a little bit of friendly competition among friends or telling a teacher about what you did this past summer as an eco-steward, badges can be used to showcase learning and achievement for the people who weren't in the room or in the park when the learning happened. Badges are stackable, like Legos. Open badges have been designed to be interoperable so that different badges earned in different places can represent different competencies. And when these badges are knit together, they help show a more complete picture of that learner's skill set and accumulated experiences. Badges can also unlock new opportunities. So whether it's part of the resume that you submit for a prospective job or in your college or trade school application, badges demonstrate that the holder of those badges possesses the knowledge, skills, and dispositions necessary for the position that they're pursuing. Open badges emerged through the support and generosity of the MacArthur Foundation, working closely with Mozilla, the nonprofit web advocate behind the open source web browser, Firefox. Together, MacArthur and Mozilla and colleagues from around the world have developed an infrastructure to support and enable badges to be earned and exchanged in multiple ways. Badges today in the open world are being issued by schools, by community organizations, by libraries, by local makerspaces, and even by youth to one another. These are the badges that they're using to help make learning more visible, to share the accumulated knowledge, whether that's something that's self-directed or peer-supported, led online or offline, in school or out of school. For example, in Providence, the After School Alliance there has worked in partnership with the school district to develop a system of badges to support out-of-school learning. But the badges go farther. Not only do these badges help recognize the work that's happening out of school, but they can actually transfer. They can be brought into the Providence Public Schools and count as elective course credit associated with graduation from high school. Out-of-school recognition, making it onto a student's academic record, that's pretty impressive. We all know how important summertime is in terms of keeping students motivated and creating meaningful learning experiences that happen over the course of the summer. Badges have a tremendous potential here too, as evidenced in particular by the work in Chicago over the last 2 years. Locally this year, in Pittsburgh, 20 organizations worked together to create the first badges for learning here locally. In doing so, they became part of Pittsburgh's first ever City of Learning, and we joined 3 other cities from across the country, Chicago, Los Angeles, and Dallas, to create a learning experience discovery platform focused on badgeable learning experiences and unique things to discover when the city is your oyster. Locally, each of our partner organizations created at least 3 new badges, and in total in Pittsburgh, more than 1,800 were awarded in locations throughout the city. Nationally, the momentum was even greater. Tens of thousands of badges were earned across the 4 cities. Today, plans are underway to sustain and to grow this work into the future of 2015 and beyond. Badges can be used to represent 3 different kinds of learning outcomes: knowledge, skills, and dispositions. These are the competencies that every high-quality learning experiences cause to result within our learners. To better explain the difference between these 3 types of badges, I'd like to share some examples from the work that happened over the course of this summer. For example, with respect to knowledge badges, which help to recognize the fact or condition about knowing or understanding something, the World Affairs Council of Pittsburgh created the Global Issues Knowledge Badge. Learners in their programs helped demonstrate that they had mastered the important issues in 5 big topic areas, and then they worked together to create a student-led 2-day conference that happened this summer on important global issues. At Goodwill of Southwestern Pennsylvania, they created the Customer is Always Right Knowledge Badge. It was a part of their Jumpstart Success work readiness curriculum. The learners who earned this badge know the proper way to greet a customer, to answer their questions, and to interact with them in a typical workplace environment. Critical skills for any kind of job or career in the future. As an example of skill-based badges, these are badges that folks use to demonstrate that they know how to do something, whether that's through training, practice, or other kinds of experience. I'd like to share the Heinz History Center's Digital Storytelling Badge as one of the good examples of a skill badge. The Digital Storytelling Badge encouraged learners to look through the museum's archives and collections, to delve in and find things of interest to them, and create stories based on a clear point of view and a narrative structure that was historically accurate. These storyboards were the key to unlocking the Digital Storytelling Badge. After a visit to the tech shop, you might be able to demonstrate that you know how to program an Arduino, and that in doing so you could earn the Microcontroller Maven skill badge that they created. This includes practicing how to properly connect an Arduino to a computer, programming a small initiative in order to create it to light up an LED, and verbally explaining how it is actually that the Arduino even makes the machine work in that way. I'm not sure I could do that. In the context of disposition badges, our last badges, these are ways of representing other kinds of competencies. They demonstrate a tendency to act in a certain way, or positive habits of mind, the soft skills and the intangible qualities that are teachable, but often very hard to represent in paper form. We try to cultivate these dispositions in our learners through all of the kinds of programs and activities that we do. So for example, the Neighborhood Learning Alliance, through their Reading Warriors program this past summer, created the Advocacy Badge. This was a badge that was awarded to students who actually executed projects and activities that got more of their neighbors and friends interested in reading or improved access to literacy. In this case, it's been demonstrated that these learners have a disposition toward literacy, and at a very fundamental level, they understand what it means when a community reads together. At the Ellis School, you could earn the Passionate Perseverance Badge to demonstrate that you have the ability to navigate complex design challenges in many different kinds of independent ways, exploring different paths to the same right answer, and, moreover, addressing setbacks when they occur and respecting the different ways that other people might choose to get to the same point. you can see that through these three kinds of knowledge, skills, and disposition competency-based badges, we can design for many different kinds of learning experiences, while also maintaining the rigorous standards that are indicative of the kinds of programs and activities offered by our quality learning institutions, both formal and informal. Because we know that learners often hopscotch from one organization to another, from one experience to another, from an interest area to a closely related one, or maybe not so closely related as well. Badges can be used in the future to help identify and recommend the next step to pursue that interest. They can encourage learners to level up that mastery and recognize that in many instances, the way to level up the mastery might be an experience around the corner or just down the road. When we can combine different kinds of badges together in new and exciting ways, we help light up new learning pathways, both the ones that are intentionally designed, but also the ones that emerge naturally through the creativity and ingenuity of learners who are exploring their passions in new and unfound ways. In Pittsburgh, we have the opportunity to build an infrastructure to support these kinds of learning experiences, acknowledging that badges have an important place on our pathways and that they give youth access to real-world opportunities that have the potential to influence them going forward. Our museums, our libraries, our after-school programs, our faith-based organizations, everyone else who's a youth-serving nonprofit, these are institutions that are offering remarkable learning experiences, programs, and activities. Together with the phenomenal work of our local formal educators, we're remaking learning here in southwestern Pennsylvania. And we can see the life-changing impact of these learning innovations on the youth in the communities that we serve. Badges have the potential, and they are the tool to help connect all of this together for academic achievement, for employment, and for being better citizens in our democracy. In short, we see a future in Pittsburgh where there are different pathways that are seamless and easily navigated by all children and youth in our communities. So whether it's a self-directed online experience or something that happens at an out-of-school location or something that was practiced at a summer camp or something that was learned during those still important school hours, with badges, we create the opportunities to make meaningful and to recognize these kinds of learning opportunities. And altogether, helping inculcate a generation of lifelong learners for the Pittsburgh region. Thank you so much for being here to help us take that next step.